Hello and welcome to Quarterlight, your car brochure channel. Today we're going to look at the Volkswagen Beetle. Welcome back, and Quarterlight, if you don't know, we're a car brochure channel, so if you've got any interest in that or enjoy looking down memory lane, please consider subscribing. Today we're going to be looking at this brochure for the Volkswagen Beetle. Don't be confused by the title. This brochure is actually from 1968, so it's not talking about that front-engined new Volkswagen Beetle. It's talking about the original air-cooled one. And what can we say about the Volkswagen Beetle? I'm not going to go through the full history for the Volkswagen Beetle. That would make the video far too long. We're just going to have a look at a snapshot in time from this brochure for 1968. The Volkswagen Beetle is kind of like a love it or hate it car. I've noticed that a lot of car enthusiasts and car nuts don't particularly like the Volkswagen Beetle, but then on the other end, you have the Volkswagen crowd who absolutely adore the Volkswagen Beetle. It's a strange car. I think I sit somewhere in the middle. I have owned a Volkswagen Beetle. I like Volkswagen Beetles, but then again, I like most cars. But anyway, let's look at today's brochure. So here it is, today's brochure, and the first thing you notice is what a dull front cover. I don't particularly like this brochure from the outside. It's not very appealing, but the pictures inside are actually really nice. Together with the way the brochure is worn, it's not very appealing. But if we look on the back page, it says go for at least 2 test drives, one for the automatic, one without. So it's really showing this automatic as being a choice now for the Volkswagen Beetle. This is obviously where the dealer stamp would be, a continuation of this quite horrendous colour. But if we move into the right at the very bottom here, if we can do, you can just about make out the date stamp. Down the bottom there, it's 8/68, so August 1968, and printed in Germany. But anyway, let's go back and look inside. Okay, so we'll open this very dull front cover up, and surprise, this very sort of dull front cover of this brochure turns into a beautiful brochure, actually. A really lovely shot of this beautiful red Volkswagen Beetle. It just reminds me of those 60s and 70s adverts. It's just a shame they didn't, do something on the front to make it as striking, but the most revolutionary Beetle since the invention of the Beetle. The Volkswagen Automatic with 1.5 litre engine and now with a 1.3 litre engine. Indeed, a lot of this brochure is kind of like talking about that Volkswagen Automatic. A beautiful, I say, I'm somewhere in between, but how can you not love a car that's shaped like that? I really do like it, and that's the beauty of these sort of advertisements, isn't it? It really makes you want to run out and buy one. In fact, when I'm saying I'm somewhere in between the car guys who hate them and the Volkswagen guys who love them, I'm closer to the Volkswagen guys, really. The only thing that I don't like about the Volkswagen Beetle is the ridiculous price they are if you wanted to buy one now. Considering how many of them there were around, how much part availability is around, the price is ridiculous. But if I go back to 1968, I'd probably turn up at the showroom and buy a brand new one. That's when it made sense, when it was a cheap car. But anyway, just my opinion, but let me know your opinions on the Volkswagen Beetle, good or bad. I enjoy reading them either way. That's what the channel is all about. Anyway, let's turn that page, if I'm able to. And he's talking more about the automatic. It says no more clutch, no more gear selector, sorry, no more gear lever, just a selector lever. Yeah, we've got an automatic. It's nothing too exciting now, but I guess back then it was something a little bit special. What are the advantages of this selector automatic? It's just basically going through how easy it is to drive. Lovely shot of the interior of this red Volkswagen Beetle. Like I say, I did have a Volkswagen Beetle. It was a 69 Beetle. This is a UK brochure. I think I might have forgot to mention that. Mine was a 69 UK, or sold in the UK, or UK spec Volkswagen Beetle. So I'm very familiar with this dashboard. I'm also familiar with these little knobs and switches falling off as well, but I'm not as familiar with the steering wheel because somebody before me had swapped it for a little sport steering wheel. I wish it had this steering wheel with the lovely Wolfsburg crest on the front and this nice horn. It does look far better. I also love these little images, so I'm just going to quickly zoom in on some of these, particularly this one. The same axle as in the Porsche. What a better selling point than that to throw that in your brochure. Let's turn the page. Like I said, I don't want to read that much as I usually do in these car brochures because this is quite a wordy one, to be honest with you, but we'll pick some key points as we go along. Again, another little image of this dashboard. At this stage it was a whole metal dashboard, a little metal glove box. This very basic interior door card. It says the recessed inside door handles and safety window wipers. Also showing a quarter light. Another very annoying thing for me, if you know how much I like quarter lights, the owner had actually cut the quarter lights out. I guess in all making it look a little bit cooler, but again, I wish they left that there. Let's turn the page before I start crying. Very simple interior, not a great deal of space. If you lifted the seat up, your battery was here. That also reminds me of a time when the battery rusted out through the floor and fell to the ground. I had to weld it up, but just to get it through the MOT. But yeah, that's the strange place where the battery was found. Let's turn the page further. Another lovely image of this Beetle with these nice chrome hubcaps, showing these wide, strong bumpers, sort of the indicator on the top of the wing at this stage. It says outside, somewhat changed, it's true, but it's still a Beetle, and certainly it is a Beetle. I mean, that's the one thing about a Volkswagen Beetle. Even a small child can recognise a Volkswagen Beetle from quite some distance away. Let's move on. And yeah, I am missing quite a bit of the text, but like I said, this is quite a wordy brochure. Now we get to something a little bit more collectible, the Volkswagen 1500 Convertible. The convertible that's just as much fun to drive in winter. I might just have a look at some of this text on this page. So it talks a little bit here about some of the features of this 1500 convertible. It says unlike other convertibles, the Volkswagen convertible isn't only suitable for fair weather driving. So it's telling us how sturdy this is, and it's saying, you know, it's child's play to open and close, and it's telling us, you know, the rear window is actually safety glass, not just like plastic. And then it goes on to say, but that's not all. The Volkswagen 1500 Convertible also has chromed stone guards on the rear wings, wheel trims, a second door pocket, a vanity mirror in the front seat passenger sun visor, and a lockable glove compartment which contains the front hood release knob. The attractive and lively four-seater is available with or without the selector automatic. It then, on the opposite page, goes on to say that but the Volkswagen Automatic isn't the only revolutionary Beetle by any manner of means, as the next few pages show. So we do move away from this automatic now. Okay, so let's move on. And then it starts looking at this sort of range, but it starts by saying the Volkswagen 1300, the Volkswagen 1500, just as attractive and just as well equipped as the Volkswagen Automatic. Another really nice advertising picture, I think. And then we turn the page and it gives us a nice interior shot, really showing the functionality of the interior. Lots of metal, lots of chrome, but you know, all very functional little bits and pieces, even a little grab handle there for the passenger. Turn the page still further and there finally we do get to like the base model of the range at this time, the Volkswagen 1200, as it says here, the most economical Beetle. It also rather nicely shows us here some idea of the colours for that 1200 as well. It says, and you can have all this with royal red, chinchilla, toga white or cobalt body blue. And this of course would have been your cobalt blue. Let's move on, because it kind of gets this rather nice image, particularly like this shot of the body being lifted up. And there actually you can see the battery, which would have been under that rear seat. Of course, a very functional chassis, very functional engine, something that could be quickly changed if needed. And it does kind of like mention some of those things in here. It says, what all Beetles have in common is more important than what they don't. They all have an air-cooled, rear-mounted engine which can never freeze or boil over, and which is low revving into the bargain, and right next to the drive wheels. They all have 15-inch wheels, less tyre wear because they need fewer revolutions to cover a certain distance than a 13-inch wheel, which are so often used. That's kind of like an interesting little thing, isn't it? They all have wheels and independent suspension and torsion bar springing, taking potholes in their stride. It then goes on to say they all have flat floor plate to protect wiring and linkage against flying stones, mud and dust. They all have an automatic choke for flick of a switch starting no matter the temperature. They all have lavish interior trim, all included in the purchase price. It then finally says they all are easy and inexpensive to repair, but they are hardy, ever needing repairing. They all have high second-hand values, they keep the price well. In fact, they only differ in detail, not in principle, on principle. And then, yes, some of the little images, that air-cooled rear-mounted engine that we're all familiar with, the independent wheel suspension, independent springing, and that large 15-inch wheels. Okay then, let's move on, shall we? And he's talking on about the service as we get into the end of the brochure now. Some little interesting little things, so we will have a look at some of that for sure. It says, all in all, there are 8,754 Volkswagen service points all over the world. Trained specialist personnel is on tap to iron out any troubles you may have quickly and at reasonable charge. For example, a wing can be changed in a flash. There are just a few screws to remove and then the damaged wing is lifted on, off and the new one bolted on. Takes about an hour. Every Volkswagen workshop carries a stock of genuine Volkswagen spare parts, and on every Volkswagen spare parts that fitted in a Volkswagen workshop there's the same guarantee as on the new car. Every Volkswagen workshop uses special Volkswagen tools. Volkswagen exchange parts make life even more economical, up to 50% more so, and they carry the same guarantee as new parts. It goes on to say, a service card goes with every new car sold. In it, you'll find the recommended maintenance and lubrication services. Maintenance service only every 6,000 miles. All at fixed charges, of course. The Volkswagen service is fast, economical and reliable. And it says little things like a new wing in an hour. And then at the bottom, very unusually, a new engine in about 2 hours. So how easy it is to service. And this is what I mean about the Volkswagen Beetle. I wish there were cars around like this today. I would certainly buy one. They make sense as a car to buy brand new, and it's no wonder they sold so many of them. It's only really in the second-hand market that the prices of them really doesn't make any sense anymore. Like I say, just my opinion. And then as we turn the page still further, it gives you an idea of some of those rare extras you could fit. So this over here is showing the Volkswagen with a steel sliding roof, an ideal way of getting a tan. So, quite a rare little steel sliding roof. And I have to say, I particularly like this light blue example. Like I say, a great brochure because it's really selling me on the car, I must admit. It also shows us some more extras. We could have a radio. So it says, for example, a radio. Have you ever stopped to think that you're missing without a radio in your car? Driving safer with a radio. Road condition reports, for example. Most important in winter, you can keep yourself up to date while you're driving along. In summer too, police reports and alternative routes for avoiding traffic jams. You can listen to music or to light entertainment. Stops you tiring so quickly on long journeys. You can listen to the news on the way to the office or check your watch against the pips. No matter where you are, a car radio helps you keep in touch with the outside world. And it's just strange. I've never seen a brochure with so much information on why you should buy a radio. You must buy a radio. It's such a great thing to have. I think that's really lovely touch in this particular brochure. It says, but a radio's not the only practical extra you can have. How about leatherette seat covers? Front seats with head restraints, radio ply tyres, white wall tyres, an electrically operated or electrically heated rear window, I do apologise, a lockable glove compartment or a day-night mirror. In fact, there are so many inexpensive and practical extras that I simply haven't the space to describe them all. Your Volkswagen dealer will be pleased to advise you. And this is a particularly nice little extra, isn't it? This particular seat, front seat with the head restraints. Quite unusual to have this in the late 60s. Okay then, so let's move on. We'll turn the page again. We get to the technical data and equipment page, which we'll certainly have a look at now. As normal with these specification pages, I'm not going to read them all, but I'll certainly put the camera on them, so if you are interested in reading it all, you certainly can pause the screen at any time. It starts with the base model, the Volkswagen 1200. Capacity there is 1.2 litres, as you can imagine. And it's showing here it's got a maximum performance of, maximum speed 71 miles per hour, which is an interesting little figure to put on there. Not all brochures, as we've found, do actually include the top speeds of cars, and it gives you some information about, you know, your extras you can actually buy on your Volkswagen Beetle. It then moves on to the next range, your Volkswagen 1300 or your Volkswagen 1500, with obviously a 1300 or a 1500cc engine, a 50 brake horsepower or 53 brake horsepower. And performances, so your 1300's got a top speed of 75 miles per hour. Your 1500 has got a top speed of 78 miles per hour. Again, it shows you some of the equipment and some of the extras you could buy on them models. If we move along, we get the Volkswagen Automatic, which it kind of like raved about in this brochure, and it tells you can have that in either the 1300 or the 1500. Performances of the Automatic: 71 for the 1.3, 75 for the 1.5. Again, it gives you some information there about the extras, the no cost extras, and the extras you have to pay a little bit more for. And like I say, I'm not going to read it all out, but you can certainly pause the screen at any time. We then move on to the most expensive Beetle at this time, the Volkswagen 1500 Convertible and the Volkswagen Automatic Convertible. So how does that affect speed? If we go down there, so the 1500 Convertible, 78 miles per hour. So absolutely no difference in speed from the non-convertible 1500. The Volkswagen Automatic Convertible, top speed of 75 miles per hour. Again, it shows you some extras you could have on there, no extra cost, and at the bottom there, the extras you could have at an extra charge, which I think you can just about make out like that. Okay, so I think that's the end of the brochure. It is indeed, and like we said at the start, you know, it says you should go out and take a test drive in the Automatic and the one without, and then make your mind up. So there we go, that's the Volkswagen Beetle from the brochure, August 1968. Yeah, there were a wide range of Volkswagen Beetles throughout the years, but this is purely looking at one brochure. I know lots of people say, well, there was this model, there was this variation, but you know, we've only got so much time in a car brochure review, and we're just looking at that car brochure. I'm sure we'll have other years of Volkswagen Beetles at some point in the future. Let me know if you've got any memories of the Volkswagen Beetle. Like I say, I do, because I did own one for a couple of years when I was much younger. And like I say, sadly, somebody had cut the quarter light out of it. Sadly, somebody had painted it. And sadly, someone had chopped the suspension in half. I really wanted it just as it came out of the factory, but you know, you bought what you could afford at the time. But thank you so much for watching Quarterlight. Please do like and subscribe, and we'll see you very soon. Take care and goodbye.